Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going to that horrible world known as the JRC. For the next 7 videos, we are just going to be shooting through. I got pizza on the way. I got to watch a kitty. And yeah. But first, let's get into it, shall we? AH stands are a particular lesson in tell me you know nothing about a subculture without telling me you know nothing about a subculture. In particular, goth culture. Why am I bringing this up? Because they are once again with the text messages between JD and Marilyn Manson. Right? Loaded. And the reference to sex dungeons. Like, first of all, do you know nothing about goth culture or BDSM culture? I mean, granted, this is a rhetorical question. Very obviously, they do not. They don't even understand the context of words like cunt, which over in the US means something really bad, but over in the UK, they greet each other with it. I know. I've been there. Literally been in the country. Listening to them talk in person. Let me clarify a few things. First off, goth culture is all about dark humor. How do I know this? I've been a part of it. One of my nicknames in my 20s was Corporate Goth, for God's sake. Because I would do those political meetings with streaked, multicolored hair, full black suits, and goth jewelry. Right? Live that culture. Right? Okay? Dark humor is very much a thing. Number 2, I find it interesting that they cling to this crap. Because I can hear worse going outside my door. In particular, if anyone is even loosely associated with the gamer community. You ever see them do a live play? They're all gaming online, they got their headphones on. You ever hear some of the smack talk that goes on while they're playing live? I have. My brother's a gamer. Remy Paul, he's a gamer. My cousin's a gamer. The list goes on. I have heard some of the most graphic, creative threats that I have ever heard just watching these guys play. And I do watch gamers play. I enjoy it. But, come with me on this little journey here. I'm autistic, right? We're supposed to take everything literally, right? How is this I can wrap my brain around the concept of dark humor? But these privileged little neurotypicals take everything literally. Since when was this a role reversal? Is this Bizarro Day? Is it Bizarro Day and nobody told me? Because I can understand and note and quite clearly see when something is a dark joke and when it's literal. These little girls want to take and cling to these texts and declare them literal because they have been so brainwashed that all men are evil that even something that is very obviously dark humor, they will try and make the whole world agree with them that what they are discussing is literal. I'm silent because the stupid is real and it burns, folks. The stupid is real and it burns. Does anyone legitimately with 2 brain cells to rub together actually believe either of these men have a sex dungeon? No. I'm going to be autistic for a minute. Just first off, that is expensive. First you have to create it, then you have to maintain it. Just for starters, since I'm supposed to be literal, right? Let's be literal. Let's look at the logistics of this stupidity for a second. First, you have to build one, because as far as I know, they don't come standard in homes. Then you have to maintain it. I'm talking the additional part of the electric bill that you now have to pay. All the cleaning you have to do. Because I don't know if you've ever heard rumors about orgies, but they get messy. Real messy. There's maintenance there, very obviously. For the furniture, for the floors. You see where I'm going here, right? Now that I can drag my brain out of that very literal rabbit hole I just took us down, let me explain it again. Me to you neurotypicals out there. They're not being literal. It's a dark inside joke. I, an autistic, can read that and understand the context. I know that you can do the same. You're trying to turn something into something that it isn't. And the media is passing it around like party favors. Because, quite frankly, folks, they think all of us are stupid. Yeah. I'm sorry, but the stupid bothers me. It really bothers me. I rant on this kind of thing in spite of the majority of the videos these days being about the JRC is because I can't deal with the bull. It just hurts my brain. Because we live in a world now where text messages taken way out of context, putting literal meanings on things that are literally dark jokes, is somehow more weighty than facts and evidence. And I can't wrap my brain around it. Really can't. But let me know what you think in the comments. When someone is talking about a sex dungeon and they're making an inside dark joke, do you think that they're being literal? Or do you, as a person, whether you're neurotypical or neurodiverse, look at something like that and understand that it's a dark inside joke and not literal? Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Let's go to disclaimers, right? In the description box, you can find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there, the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school situation, now known as Stone for Help boarding school, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it. all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who still lives on the premises with full access to the boys up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy lying about drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually do his job. And you've got a governor. What can I say about my governor? Send help. So please read that article. Share it on all your social media. Also included in there, as always, all the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including to what we're reading right now in regards to the Sara Villa case. This one is very recent, folks, 2017-2018, so pay very close attention. Including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masaba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please use those headphones, all right? Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion, and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised, all right? All right, so where we left off yesterday in the Sara Villa case, which is ongoing, I might add. This is still happening right now. Let's move on, shall we? Some of this I may have covered yesterday. I apologize in advance. The trip to Boston resulted in Mr. and Mrs. Villa losing income in the amount of $1,140, which is not chump change for those of us who are broke people. That's my rent and utilities, folks. Just saying. The Massachusetts Department of Children and Families, DCF, the Massachusetts Department of Early Education and Care, DEEC, and the Canton Police Department all investigated the incident. The DCF found that the abuse allegation against Mr. Martinez was substantiated, and the DEEC cited the Judge Rotenberg Center for noncompliance with state regulations based on this finding. The Canton Police Department has filed a civil complaint against Mr. Martinez, and a magistrate's hearing is scheduled for the 8th of November 2018 in the Stoughton District. You better bet I'm going to go searching for that hearing documents, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. While the Judge Rotenberg Center, Ms. Villa began to bang her head at hard surfaces in response to stress, which she had never done before. Remember when I said this crap makes whatever issues we had worse? Exhibit A! She also resumed eating inedible objects, which she had not done for many years. Miss Villa became depressed and suicidal, expressing her intent to harm or kill herself on multiple occasions while at the Judge Rotenberg Center. She also began to suffer from flashbacks, hypervigilance, nightmares, agoraphobia, and extreme anxiety around separation from her mother. She became afraid of other people seeing her through windows. These symptoms continued after she returned to California. Immediately following her return to California, Miss Villa's psychiatrist diagnosed her with post-traumatic stress disorder and prescribed psychotropic medications to manage her symptoms. Remember when he said, Dr. Israel, no lasting effects, no PTSD? You're a liar, sir. This is called receipts. Gotta love them, especially in this world now that we all live in. Ms. Villa was unable to attend school after returning from Massachusetts and instead had to receive intensive behavioral therapy at home. On the 29th of April 2018, Ms. Villa had a flashback upon hearing the sound of approaching footsteps, believing that the Judge Rotenberg employees were coming for her. Out of fear, she attempted to strangle Mrs. Villa with a belt. As a result, Ms. Villa was arrested and held at Forensic Juvenile Treatment Facility until the court found her incompetent to stand trial. While in the juvenile treatment facility, she attempted suicide. I don't know how you can read any of this and not see clearly what's going on here. Let's read, because I'm sure it gets worse. Because of the increased level of danger Ms. Villa now poses to her parents and siblings, El Dorado authorities have forbidden the family from bringing her back into the home. As a result, Ms. Villa has been held in a psychiatric treatment facility in Cerritos, California, nearly 500 miles from her family, since the 16th of July, 2018. The placement at the Cerritos facility has resulted in travel expenses incurred by Mr. and Ms. Villa, which have amounted to $1,500 so far. The placement at the Cerritos facility has resulted in further lost income to Mr. and Mrs. Villa, which has amounted to approximately $5,700 so far. Because of the increased cost of Mrs. Villa's care and treatment since her time at the Judge Rotenberg Center, her parents could no longer afford their home. Thus, Mr. and Mrs. Villa, along with their 4 other children, have to move into a smaller house. Ms. Villa has required extensive medical and mental health treatment for the injuries she suffered at the Judge Rotenberg Center, which has cost her family approximately $125,000 so far. She will continue requiring psychiatric and behavioral treatment because of these injuries for the foreseeable future. See, that's the cost of post-traumatic stress disorder. The thing that Dr. Israel really doesn't want to talk to us about. When you go through trauma, I'll go through the whole conversation again. I know we've had it several times on this channel. When you have behaviors, we'll use their terminology as much as it makes me want to flinch. And instead of doing your due diligence and trying to find out what is triggering the behaviors and working from there, you instead only target the behaviors and use the torture methods that the JRC do. Is it any surprise at all that those behaviors became worse and, in fact, new behaviors that were not there previously are there now? That's how post-traumatic stress disorder works. This is what happens when you inflict trauma on someone who's already having issues. So tell me, doctor, did using aversive therapy in any way, shape, or form help Sara Villa with her behaviors? Very obviously, it did not. Very obviously, it made them worse. Any previous progress that she made at any previous program has been eradicated. The PTSD is so bad that she has physically attacked the people around her, not realizing that they were her family. I've been there. I've done that. It's what happens when you go through horrific abuse and torture. I wasn't tortured, I was abused. There is a difference. Slight though it may be. The point is, Dr. Israel insists against all logic and reason that using the Aversives he does changes and saves these kids' lives. It made Sara Villa's life far worse than it ever had been before she ever entered their doors. We're going to close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. See you next vid.